Welcome back to another Home Gym Roundtable. This time we actually have a theme. So we have a group of teachers. I was listening to Rob and Goob at HomeGymCon, listening to the follow-up podcast. He was at the Harambe booth and just met a bunch of teachers. And definitely a theme that I've noticed as well, like being in this industry for a while, lots of teachers. So we've gathered a group of teachers. There's plenty more. But here are a few, and we're just going to have a round table. So to start, we have my partner in crime, Adam, GG Adam. We have Luke from Luke's Garage Gym. We have Matthew Porter back on another round table. And then Sean, the founder of Bear Steel Equipment. So a mix of content creators and one gym equipment supplier. So if each of you could just kind of go around and tell me, maybe do this relatively quickly, but what got you into teaching, and then what ultimately got you interested in a home gym or entering the home gym community?
So teaching wise, man. So when I was in high school, it's funny, like math, PE teacher, I was going to do PE, but then my dad was like, "You're never gonna find a job." The same old guy doing it for 45 years. So I was like, you know what? I always wanted to be in education, so I ended up doing elementary ed. And I've been teaching, so I've actually taught 3 grades. I've taught 4th grade, 5th grade, doing 6th grade English for it's gonna be my 8th year. I've been teaching almost 10 years. And the home gym stuff, man, to be honest, a lot of people say the same thing as COVID. I've been working out for, 18 years. And so I was using one of my school teachers, like 1-inch plate barbell, just doing curls and floor press and like just squats. And I was going nuts. So I just started buying equipment. And honestly, making the videos, dude, was my buddies. They're like, dude, you're really good in front of the camera. Why don't you make videos? So I did a home gym tour for Garage Gym Games. I don't know if he doesn't do that stuff anymore, but that's kind of how I got started.
I'll go. So, with getting into teaching, I was going through. I went to school. I was gonna be an engineer. I got to Calc 2 and decided that wasn't for me. Looking back, I probably should have stuck with it with all of the other stuff I'm doing now. But got through. Was a little nervous, like Luke. I wanted to go into PE because that was my favorite subject in school, and just wanted to go out and try to help as many people. My parents both are really overweight and have had lots of health issues. So basically, I wanted to go into PE to try to inspire kids to start getting healthier when they're younger, just so they can not end up where my parents ended up. And that's basically, I'm just trying to do everything the opposite of what they did. As far as getting into the home gym, because of being a teacher, like finances are always tight. I had multiple jobs and trying to find time, like, well, when can I have time to actually exercise myself? And started to slowly accumulate more equipment, and then as slowly kept going, and eventually I ended up having what I have now. But this has been for home gym maintenance since about 2015, 2016.
So, going through college, I changed my majors handful of times, and it was someone else who made the recommendation, like, you should go into teaching. Like, I liked working with kids, and that's the route I pursued. So I've been doing elementary education now for, I think this will be my 13th year. Done everything kindergarten up to 5th grade. We teach in 1st grade moving forward. Home gym started when I had my own son, and the hours and the schedule became restricted, and so started doing Olympic lifting in my garage, and it's grown from there.
All you guys are elementary teachers. What's wrong with you all? I mean, seriously, I don't understand how you guys can do that. I substitute taught half a day for 3rd grade when I first started. Never went back. No way. So kudos to all of you for having the cojones to do the little kids. But I wanted nothing to do with school. Couldn't wait to be done with school. I hated everything that there was to do with school. So I played college football And when I was done with that, I dabbled in the business world for a little bit. Didn't really like what it had to offer. Uh, and especially in the area that I was in. I mean, I tell my students, I used to be a ham plant supervisor. So, like, that's a real thing. And it was pretty miserable, to say the least. And what it helped me realize were the things that I didn't want to do, and being a hand plant supervisor for the next 40 years was not on my bucket list. So I had decided that I still had a lot in terms of knowledge in the game of football that I wanted to give back. So I started dabbling in volunteer coaching, things like that. Had a couple people that mentored me through the way, said, like, you should be a teacher and coach. And that's what I did. So I coached for 12 years, and went to a couple different school districts. And once my kids were born, that's when kind of coaching started to take a back seat, kind of like what Adam had referred to as well. When you got kids at home, and the way high school football is almost like college football now, the amount of time that's required. So I had stepped down from coaching, as I was also pursuing a principal job, which I'm thankful that I did not get. Uh, and if any of you have seen the principal world, you probably know. So because what that ended up doing was it kind of gravitated me towards the fitness industry at a much more intense level, because I had all this extra time on my hand that was not with coaching football. I was able to kind of, dive into this very tight knit and kind of wild hair of a group, which is the home gym community. And I had a home gym when my son was born, and that's kind of really what got me started, and realizing, like, wow, there's something really cool about this, and the influence I could have on my own kids. But to all of you elementary educators, I'm a high school teacher, so I teach 9 through 12, which may or may not be a good thing depending on the day. So I'm a business teacher at that. I teach entrepreneurship, which is ironic in a sense, but beneficial, because I'm able to take a lot of the things that I've learned through this wild experience of owning my own business, and I'm able to pass that knowledge on to them. In fact, the entrepreneurship class that I teach this year, we compete in competitions every year, and we were actually the national company of the year this year. So it was pretty cool. After doing it for 4 years, we reached the pinnacle, which was pretty sweet. So um, not little kids though. I deal with 2 little kids at home. I just don't know how you guys do it.
See, with PE though, it's one of, like, the older kids, like, they just don't want to, like, a lot of them just don't want to do it at all. Like elementary PE, like I'm the rock star of the school. You go through the cafeteria, all the kids screaming.
Yeah, the gym teacher at any elementary school is always the rock star. So it's like you get to be kind of like the Derek Jeter of the school staff, and everyone is very jealous because I'm wearing khaki pants to school, and you guys are freaking wearing shorts and t-shirts, and you guys are driving around in your IROC Z Camaros, while the rest of us are kind of slinging in the hatchback. But it's a different world down there, as to say the least.
Definitely takes a lot of patience. I'll say that. A lot of patience.
Yeah. Well, I
Yep.
don't know how any of you guys do it, so kudos. And I was thinking, Sean, I was thinking that too. I was like, these like macho guys teaching elementary. And that's what everyone always says about Adam to me. They're like, "Oh, Adam, big strong Adam's an elementary teacher."
I could only imagine they'd probably view him as like the Rock from the Tooth Fairy movie or something like that.
Dude, it's hilarious. They are shocked that they've seen people work out. I've never had a teacher who was like shape. That's so bad saying that. I never did. Mostly women too. Definitely different change phase.
Yeah. Well, Sean, you actually had a pretty good lead up into our next question. So this is all kind of a side hustle for each of you. Love to hear how teaching has actually helped you do this, or the skills you've gained during teaching help you do this side hustle?
Well, I mean, to say the least, Matt, Luke, and Adam, you guys all know this. If you're not organized, man, you're going to get crucified in the classroom. And I think that's probably one of the more important things. I mean, just like with coaching, I mean, there was no downtime. And, like this has in many ways taken over what coaching was, probably a lot more in that sense. But if you're not organized, you're going to struggle in the classroom. And if you're not organized, you're going to struggle with the business. So it's helped me in that sense in trying to make sure, like, I know exactly what I've got to get done, if I've got orders that I've got to pack. And that's probably the big thing that I've told a lot of my students. If because I've got several entrepreneurship classes, and I got a lot of kids that they think they want to be in business. And I kind of told them some of the horror stories and the mistakes that I've made through the years. And I'm like, are you really sure? Like, are you going to be able to handle this? I mean, we deal with it with parents too. I mean, I kind of see it in a very similar fashion where you're trying to please everybody. I mean, I'm known, at least in my classes, for telling my kids at least 10% of the population is going to hate you no matter what you do. And I found that rule to be pretty accurate. And you could sling the moon down to them and they would still find something to be upset about. And that's okay, because I mean, it helps drive you to be more perfected and be more polished. But sometimes you're just not going to please everybody. And the same goes with parents too. But trying to find a way to get organized and have a plan, especially on the business side of things, as soon as school's out, when I used to go to practice, as soon as school's over, I'm going and I'm dropping off shipments, or I'm taking something to get painted, or I'm taking something to get, sent off to get, a Chrome application or something along the lines. It just makes you make sure that all of your time is spent, down to the T on doing exactly what you want to do. On all the orders that I pack, especially during the school year, it's all at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then I get up at 4 in the morning to work out. So like, I don't get a whole lot of sleep during the school year. So it's tough, but it kind of shows you, like, especially if you're going to run a business, this, if you've got a full-time income, in many ways, and this is my favorite quote from Jim Rohn. He said that you can work full-time on your income, part-time on your fortune. And, just like the rest of us, if it pops off, like, we're probably not going to stick around in the classroom because it's actually going to hinder us. You see that all the time with people. But yeah, I would probably say that's probably the best piece of advice that I've heard in terms of how this stuff works.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, because the organization of everything, just trying to make sure that, like, and the conflict resolution with dealing with the parents, and that's a big thing where, like, they'll get upset because of a grade, and a lot of times for me it's because I gave the kids an E or like a C, and parents would be all upset of that, and then I had to go back and kind of go through and explain to the parents, like, why. But you're all at the same point in time when you're doing that, you're trying to make sure that you're empathetic in their situation and what's going on. And you'll have a very similar thing when you have a customer email. They'll email you and they're frustrated with, like, lead times and those things like that. As far as, like, the other point with just getting how this all started for me, and like why I kind of started what I'm doing, is I don't have the funds to be able to purchase what I want to do or what I want. So I just started making everything, and slowly creating more and more things, and then people started asking for this stuff, and growing. And now I need to get to where Sean is, where I'm not doing every single part of this. Sorry, my dog's sorry. His dad isn't here with me. but just trying to get everything sorted and organized. And like for me, like it's going to work. I work out in the morning. I'm right there with Sean, working out at 4 a.m. Get home right when I get home. It's on to usually I'll weld for an hour or two, and then get painting done for like another hour. And then once I get done with that, then I have packaging I'll need to do. But trying to sort all this out and get everything done, it's everything is like minute by minute, like how I have to have everything like timed out. And if something happens where parts are delayed getting to me, like that puts things behind. And so trying to make sure that I have everything in place to make sure I can get everything to people I get it to them or need to get it to them.
Yeah, and just kind of going off piggyback on what you were saying too, like we talk about just how I started doing this. Honestly, when we were probably like in high school, we did these silly, stupid comedic skits on YouTube just for fun. I've always loved YouTube. I've loved it since it started. I remember watching Smosh in like 2005. So like those have always been my guys. And honestly, it was like one of my good friends, Brandon, who actually films a lot of my videos and helps me. He's like, dude, like, you'd be really good at this. You need to try it. And I would spend probably the first 2 years. This was like a full-time job, and I was making nothing. Nothing. I wasn't monetizing YouTube. By the way, YouTube don't pay anything anyways. It doesn't. And I was pretty much just like reviewing things I had. You know, you're very fortunate. Some companies send me things. But a lot of it is creativity. As a teacher, you have to be super creative in your ideas and your presentation skills. Like when you make these videos, you have to show that you know what you're talking about and present it in a way that's appealing to your audience. It's like your kids. Like if I present something to my kids in a way they don't understand, they're checked out. It's like with a video. If I make a video and it sucks, like no one's gonna watch it, you know? So throughout the years, I've really tried to perfect like how I present things. Like I create a content schedule. As a teacher, you have a lesson plan. I made that for my equipment because if I don't do that, I get behind on reviews, get behind on stuff I have, and I just feel like even with parents too, like we see that all the times. Even like as your channel starts to grow, you start getting these haters. The stupidest comment, stupidest. I get these guys to say these things, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I have this video I made with Major Fitness because I use my hands a lot when I talk. I probably got like 300 of those comments. I'm like, do you want me to like stand like this? Like, how do you want me to present this? I think of it as a way as a parent, it's like upsetting you about something. Is these freaking trolls constant, but like you have to approach it in a way that's professional. I approach my channel professionally. I don't cuss. I don't drink. I don't cause anything that will tamper my job because my kids found my channel. I don't know if they know you guys have your thing. They found my stuff last year. I have no idea how. Kids find everything. So definitely have to approach it in a way that's professional. But I love it, man. I'm open to do this until I turn gray. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think just like being a teacher, we can't ignore the major benefit of our schedule. Like we know we're contractually obligated to get to school at this time, and we're going to leave at this time. And after that, it's pretty much open. Yeah, there's some like prep stuff that has to get involved. Once you get in your rhythm, like the prep stuff is pretty quick. And so you know you're going to have your summers, your spring breaks, your Christmas breaks, and things like that. So I'd say the one of the major benefits is the schedule that we have.
Is it common for teachers to have like a side thing, or are you kind of on your own?
I think nowadays with prices, how everything costs nowadays, you know, I know I work in a very smaller district. This is not even, I have 3 jobs. I do this, I work at a pizza place twice a week, and I do the channel. So it's like plus like I'm on my own now, so I was able to buy a house, I have a car, I have a dog, you know, I have like a good relationship. Like if I just had my teaching income, I would have to hide in my room and eat ramen. Like I wouldn't be able to fulfill the things I want to do. Like, and I'm a big traveler, I like to do things, but like if I didn't have these other incomes, I would literally be staring at the wall in my 1,200 square foot house every day. You know? But
We only have 3 right now,
I don't know.
Luke?
It keeps me busy too and stuff. Bro, might as well add a 4th. Like,
Yeah.
get the train rolling, huh? Like, man.
Yeah, that is something where like most of the teachers, especially I know that are like 40 years old or younger, a lot more teachers that are that age just start.
Did you cut out for you guys?
Yeah, yeah, he cut out too. I can jump in if you want. So one of the things that I've seen, you talking about side hustle, Luke brought it up too. Just the number of people. I think even beyond just teachers. I think the stat I saw was 40 to 55% somewhere in there, of just Americans in general are participating in some type of side hustle, simply because either they want to or they have to. And like for myself, I had always told my wife like I wanted to own a business, and but I didn't know what. She would always say, "What do you want to do?" And I would always come back with, "I don't know." And it just kind of hit me like a bolt of lightning. It was almost as like it was God sending it down from Mount Sinai or something, like telling you what what you need to do, and thankfully it's worked out so far to this point. But it for some, like if especially starting out as teachers, I've had some students in the past that have said like, I've told them at graduation, like, what are you going to study? And they're like, well, I'm going to get into education. And I say to them, like, are you sure? Like, is that really where you want to go? Like, what we make, right? It's almost like when you start out as a teacher, and some districts are better than others, but those starting salaries, like you guys know too, I mean, it was rough when we first started. I mean, it's almost like, what's your side hustle? It's like panhandling after school would be the next side hustle, with just how much of a struggle it is, because after taxes, Lord only knows, you're making like barely above the poverty level. And so you really have to get, like, if you're going to make decent money in the school system, and it's at least in public education, you've got to get like those 15, 20 years in before you can get to like a comfortable area. Even before then, you're making respectable amounts, but it's not a ton. And I think that's one of the things that's driving more and more people. But I would also say, I'm sorry that I'm talking so much. I would also say that teachers, like Luke had said too, like we're creative people. And the thing about being an educator, especially being in the classroom, you're almost like an intrapreneur, where you kind of get to mold your classroom the way that you see fit. Even though it's under a hierarchy of guidelines and protocols, you still get to mold your classroom the way that you see fit. And so you get to try new things. And if it doesn't work, okay, now you move on to the next one. And being an entrepreneur is not that much different. I'm sure, Matt, you've seen too, like you've made something and you're like, ooh, probably shouldn't do that again. Like I had the same issues where it was like, okay, that was a bust, somebody's probably not real happy about that. And then, sometimes the only way to get something done is to actually just push it out into the marketplace and wait for the feedback. And then you let the market help guide you in the right direction. And the classroom is the same way. That's one of the things that I found that is the great parallel between the two.
Sorry, I cut out early on. Y'all, y'all can hear me good right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so to kind of piggybacking on what Sean was saying with the creativity stuff, like I have a little different situation. It's like HPE, but I'm still expected to have like my the objectives, all those different things that the art district wants to have out there in the field. So I actually have built like I had to create my own classrooms. I actually have like built my whole entire like a traveling classroom on a cart. And those things getting that's the thing, all the creative like building things, like I've always been doing that. And I have that built and pull it out there. And then a lot of my equipment, because the budget for a PE teacher, at least for me, I only get $150. per year. I mean, and we have to use certain manufacturers for those things, and they'll price a basketball like $35 a piece. So I'm like, all right, $150. I have 30 minutes. I need to get basketballs. I'm like, okay, that's my entire budget now is gone to the basketballs, but I need to make I need nets for volleyball and all these things. So I actually have built a lot of my equipment for my classroom and for the equipment for the kids to use as well.
Dude, that's awesome. That's wild. 150. Wow.
Yeah, and it'll fluctuate here and there, but the most I've gotten has been like 200, and I was like all excited. I'm like, oh, I get $200. Like, what am I gonna spend it on? I'll get like
Right?
I'll get 7 basketballs this time.
7 basketballs. You might be able to get 1 kickball in there.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
I would say as far as the side hustles go,
Wow.
like I've never had just teaching. So since I like started my career, I've always had multiple jobs. And this may be like a vast like generalization that I've noticed, but it seems, and we're all male teachers, so you guys can either confirm or say, no, not really, but it seems like male teachers typically carry multiple jobs. And I notice like a lot of the female teachers, they'll do some tutoring here or there, but they typically don't have like the extra jobs. Maybe I'm completely wrong in that, but that's just what I've seemed to notice.
Probably because their husbands
where I
were
was at,
smart
yep.
to not get into education.
Or coaching, right? Or coaching like 3 or 4 sports too, you know?
Yeah,
I did the pay-
coaching the sports. I mean, the stipends they give you on that is like 10 cents an hour, and that's before taxes. So after taxes, you're about 66 cents an hour, which, you know, that's not exactly going to pay the bills.
6
And that's a
months,
big reason
dude.
why.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a big reason why I did elementary PE, just because like if I did middle school or high school PE, that I was going to be like obligated to do coaching, and I know like what that's going to be as far as like a time commitment and financial reimbursement on that. It wasn't going to be very good. So like I tried my best to go into elementary just so I could have those extra jobs after school and during the summer. Just so I didn't have to coach. Even though when I was going to school, I thought that's what I wanted to do was do coaching. And then until I realized that it was like you make like $10 and you're working like 80 hours extra a week.
Oh, it's a lot. I did varsity baseball for 6 years, so I get it. It's a lot.
And do you mind sharing how much you made for 1 year of like coaching varsity baseball?
$1,400. $1,400. And it was
That's enough
probably
for a few
like-
large pizzas there at that pizza shop you work at.
That's about it, dude. A large pizza's $32.99 now. $32.99. And it's like cardboard.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it for free at least, thank God. That's, I guess, one perk. Get the carb load on Sunday night, baby. It's not much. It is not much. And it was, as much as I enjoyed working with the kids, like I still keep in touch with them, it's just like, it's not sustainable. You got to find other avenues to support yourself, you know?
All right, Luke, here's a question for you. So, and anybody else, everybody, but Luke, so you have reviewed quite a bit of, like, I'd say budget power acts. And you also have plenty of other, you've seen plenty of power racks and you know the market. If you had, with your current budget and you have to choose one to build around, which one are you going with?
Oh, man. So does this count all 3 jobs?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, the Vesta rack is $24.99 right now. So I'm going to have to eat peanut butter and jelly, ramen, for probably a couple months. Then I could swing that. Honestly, as much as I love this rack, I could not afford that. I could not. I would do, and I will go back to that from day one, the Titan T3 series with some rack attachments. That is exactly what I would do. I'm not dissing on anything from Major Fitness where it said, I actually people probably think I review it and it sits. I use them all the time, but I've been lifting for 18 years. I want something that's 11-page steel. That's just me. So I'd probably go with Titan or something that where I can get a power rack and add attachments as I go. As much as I like the all-in-one racks, they're over $2,000, over $3,000. I'd have to do a payment plan probably, which isn't the end of the world, but that's probably what I would do. I would say. That seems fair.
Yeah, that was great feedback. Yeah.
Everyone hates the 14 gauge steel rack, and I get it because it's thinner. It's not meant for. We've been doing this for a long time. Like it's meant for beginners. It's maybe intermediate lifters. It's not meant for guys who've been doing this for a long time. It's just not.
Anyone else have feedback on that question?
Yeah,
Any answer they want to give?
I would do the same with Luke. Just get a T3, just something that's thicker, and Titan actually has a pretty good selection of attachments that can go along with it. I wish they would have kept their it was my original. I would take you behind me. It's my Play Store now. It's their X2, because it's actually 9-gauge steel, but it's a square tubing. It's 2x2 with 5/8 holes. And I loved it because it was super sturdy. It's more on the line of the old school CrossFit rigs that were out there, that 2x2 design. But they made it for a year and got rid of it. I bought it and then it was gone.
That Bell Smith machine looks sick, dude. Not gonna lie. I try to see if I do a payment plan and get that bad boy. I might Titan rack. I look at that.
Hopefully they'll get it out soon.
I know. I like it, dude. It's cool. Unique.
Yeah, I just wish it was. I wish they would actually just make it a little taller to start off. I need to move it up one hole because right now, I have a place where when I put it all the way to the highest position, I thought I could walk underneath it, but it's off by half inch. So I'm not paying attention. I'll walk into the top of it. So I need to shift all of the take the whole thing apart and remount it one hole section higher.
It's universal, right? It fits for all racks.
I don't know. As of right now, I think it should work for all of the 3x3, 5/8, and 1-inch hole racks. The way it's the one that I have, but their spacing might be off. But I think the final version should be a little bit more customizable. I think I'm not. I don't really know. I just know what they told me, and I gave them some feedback on what I've liked and what I haven't liked so far.
Peace, dude. Good piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, besides all these goose eggs I get on my head when I'm not paying attention.
Jesus.
Oh, and when I put it together, I have my attic that's above my rack. I forgot. I have a place where I can pull the ladder down. So that my rack is exactly pulled back just far enough where it wasn't pulled down, and I forgot that I measured everything. And without shifting my rack forward, I mounted it on the back and bolted everything on. And it's a ton of bolts to actually get the thing mounted. Then I had to go put something in the attic. Then I realized I couldn't open the attic. So I basically climbed the rack to put things in the attic.
Jesus,
I had a buddy that helped me, and we worked together, and we shimmied the rack, with everything attached to it. But it was me, my buddy, and my wife all working together, just trying to slide the rack in one sitting there at a time.
Dude, that sounds like anxiety central.
Do you guys know if any companies offer a teacher discount?
Giant?
Do they?
Might be a good idea for you, Sean. There's
10%, Sean. 10%.
Everyone has
Okay,
military
you bring that
discounts.
up. I have the option to do teachers, but I chose not to simply because the majority of my customers are not teachers.
Right.
That makes sense.
Most of them are they're either police officers. I have a handful of firefighters, but 92% of them are military.
Yeah.
And when you look at the overarching profession, it's overwhelmingly women, and they're not exactly saying, man, I want the most aggressive power bar I can find to just rip my hands to shreds. That's just not, no one's asked me for that yet. So I'm still waiting on that one. But yeah, I mean, that's actually a question. Like I brought that up for discussion with my classes in the past where we talk about discounts. And that's the same thing. I don't offer it for nurses either. And it's just simply because when I look at my overarching customer demographic, the majority of nurses are women, they're not men. The majority of teachers are women, they're not men. 96% of my customers are men. So it, like, you just have to go by the law of averages because, Jake, I'm sure, you're getting into the weeds on some of this business stuff too with HomeGymCon, and you're going to start seeing it too, where you're going to get these one-offs where, hey, can I get a discount? Hook a brother up, give me a discount. The one thing I found more than anything is the people closest to you, they want the discount, which they should be paying full price, and then they should be supporting you. But that's never the case. They'll go out and they'll happily pay $250 for the newest Air Jordan, but they're not calling up Michael saying, hey, let me get the discount. It's just not happening. And so like that goes back to kind of the discussions that we had at the beginning where, I might get somebody who's upset that they didn't qualify for a 10% discount. And like the one thing that I've learned through all of this is once you get protocols in place, man, it's good to stick by them. And you can always revisit them, but that goes into 10% of people are going to hate you, whether you do it or not. I've cut some deals with some people. Like I've had some Canadian customers say like, hey, if I drop, a couple $1,000, can you give me some help on, shipping or things like that? And I've been able to do kind of independent independent help, that way. But like that's the thing, like those same people are they calling rogue and asking for their 10% discount, because they're this or that. Reps saw that. They used to have that discount and they went away. And now they're doing if I'm not to speak out of line here, I think they're donating it now. I think they're just lump summing it at the end of the year, something like that. So, I mean, I know the military community wasn't happy with that, but a lot of people understood it. So you're never going to win. You just can't win with it, and you just have to make a decision and live with it.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right, though. As like the operational costs do go up, you really do notice the discounts given a lot more. And it's important that you charge full price as much as you possibly can. I've noticed that. Yeah, good point.
Well, especially because once you start giving those discounts, if you're making I'll just use the simple number. If you're making a 50% margin and you're cutting those discounts, that 50 drops to 40 real fast. And that extra 10% can go a long way. But, if every Sam, Dick, and Harry, within the community is hitting you up for a discount, like you're not going to be able to adhere to everybody. And I think that's one thing that you do that I think is pretty smart, where you give those kind of tiered levels where it's like, look, last day, if you want to get in early, like do it now, or, be happy with full price. So, but I'm sure you're getting into the weeds on it a little bit more.
Yeah. No, that was a really good point. I do think though, like if Titan really wanted to gain, like based off of their answers, if Titan wanted to gain quite a bit of the market share of teachers, that might be a good way to get their attention. So yeah, I mean, it probably works in some ways, but yeah, I think you're right too, though. Like, it's not worth it if it's just for a small demographic. Not worth your time either.
I would also agree, though, that Titan is a very teacher-friendly just based on the prices. That was the first I went before I started Bear Steel. I was all Titan. I was like a Titan fanboy, and people were like, "Why are you buying Titan?" And it's like that's all I can afford. Like I'm a teacher. Like you're seeing these other companies like you want to rack like $4,000. Well, that's like a semester's worth of pay. So that's an out. Where Titan was always just a much more affordable, even though the quality might not have been on par with some of the others, but it was more budget friendly.
That is something that I've noticed a lot with a lot of my customers. There is a bigger demographic of people that are like maybe not trying to purchase with me, but like reaching out to me, just because I'm kind of like stuck in or kind of fixed into the Bell's ecosystem because all my things I sell are go with that. But what I've done for teachers is like if I have like really scrap material, and I was like, it's not the exact thing I sell, but it's stuff that it's over here. And if I have some time, I will like throw a discount and I'll basically like make it so it's something that will work for you. It won't be exactly what I'm selling, but it won't be like 100% of the utility of the thing I sell, but it will give you 90%. And I will make that for them. And that's more of a one-off, and it's all like a custom order for them. But they also have to understand if I'm doing that, the lead times are going to be longer, and because I have to sort of start like put the whole thing together. But that's what I've done to try to help a lot of teachers because I know that's like if you're trying to get in and try to build a home gym as a teacher, like it's hard because like there's so many things. You either are going to buy something that is probably junk because it's going to be so cheap, or you're saving up for every single piece and you're saving months and months to try to get these pieces that you want. So that's kind of what I do to try to help the best I can. And I've done probably like 10 or 15 orders like that.
Yeah, I mean it's so true though, man. It took me. I remember the first thing I got was my Titan rack. Then I got my Titan Fit Bench, and then I got the Power Box because I was able to save for that. And then I really couldn't get a lot else. I got like $100 Titan bar, and I reviewed that and like, dude, that thing was great. I mean, as much as I love a good aggressive neural. Like, it did what I needed in my budget. I don't know. I could never afford Rogue, even a lot of Rep Aries 2.0 when I was at HomeGymCon. Like, dude, this thing's freaking sweet. She's like, yeah, this thing's like $4,000. I'm like, well, all right. Not gonna happen, unless they want me to review it, which is never gonna happen. But hey, I'm here. But it's just like I think a lot of the perspective of like people don't understand too is this like, yeah, we get 3 months off, but those 9 months when we teach these kids is hard work, and we're trying our best to work hard too. And like, yeah, I could have wanted a different profession, but like I don't have any regrets of what I do, and I would rather be a scrapper and work my tail off than try to go do something else just to make a quick buck. I don't know. I like what I'm doing.
Do you guys, you love your jobs, but like in a perfect world, are you doing this? You like your side hustle full time?
I mean,
is that something?
If I were to count, I would love to have like an hour sheet and like log the hours of the channel, because I guarantee you it would be the same as teaching. Like it would have to be the amount of hours it takes to film the video. But you have to like write down what you want to say. And you have to edit it. You have to think of the thumbnail. You have to think of like the SEO. It takes like, some people take 20 hours. It takes me over 10 hours. And then you got to like, putting the equipment together itself is a freaking pain in the butt. Like, oh my gosh, that's part of the job. That counts. So if you log the hours at the same time, it's like almost if you do this and teaching combined, it's like you're working like 80 hours a week. But I've been doing it for 3 years. I don't know. I still haven't slowed down. I hope not.
I mean, it's whatever. Like, if a company came over to me and was like, "Oh, I'll offer you like $100,000+ a year to work for them," I'm like, and I can start doing my own, like, making products like that. I mean, that's something like you have to always look at those things. How is that impact like, what's best for your family? And if you get money where it's going to be something that's going to be life changing like that, or like where it's drastically changing where you are, that is something that you have to look at. And I do enjoy doing both things. So I love teaching, and I love the building and the content creation. And I'm not even sure what I am, like business owner, content creator, above all, like everything. But I like doing both. If my side hustle, my side business takes over where it can be something that is sustainable, then, and it would have to be able to also have enough money in that to deal with insurance, all those other things, that you have all those other benefits we have with teaching, like that kind of prevents you from being able to do those side hustles, because you don't have that security net of like your insurance is paid, and you have a very set structured schedule, and those things you have to account for all of those things as well.
Yeah, I piggyback off that too. It's like insurance is so important. So important. I had a lot of health problems in my early 20s. And as much as YouTube being full time would be awesome, I get anxious too. Like, what if like in 6 months my views go down? What if in 6 months my content niche is not as important and I lose views and I just quit a fantastic teaching job to pursue this? I get anxious about that. So like, I personally, like, the pipe dream for me is YouTube as my second job. Monocles, you're watching, I love you. See you later. All right. And then do teaching. That's what I want to do. But I mean, I don't think that's
Yeah, I think there's
I think
there's a
can
lot of
happen.
aspects
It's just,
to
you just gotta
teaching.
keep grinding.
Sorry, Sean. There's a lot of aspects to teaching that make it really hard to walk away from. You have like the security of your job. After you secure tenure, it takes a lot to like actually not have a job the next year, especially if like you work your way up the totem pole. They keep hiring new people. Like when they make cuts, it's not going to be you. So you're secure in your job. You know it's always going to be there. If you're in a place like I am, you have like the raises aren't great, but they're guaranteed every year. The insurance is pretty dang good, and then the pension keeps you kind of locked in. You know that when you retire, that money's going to be sitting there, and it makes it a lot. Like I have coworkers who are retiring at the age of like 55, and they're going to pull in like pretty decent salaries the rest of their lives. So there's a lot there that makes it like really difficult to walk away from.
Sorry, I think we're gonna charge you real quick. Keep going.
So I would agree with all of you. There's a lot, and probably one thing I was thinking about while everybody was talking on the subject. I think one of the reasons why we're doing this too is it's the thrill of the unknown. Like, what if? What if it takes off? And that's kind of the curious thing. And I know, at least in my situation, I think it was either Adam or Luke had said, like, I'm probably in the same situation where I would teach until the wheels fall off, and I can't do both anymore. So, but as with all things, you guys were all in a very similar situation where if you cut off the teaching umbilical, what's the uncertainty? If sales drop, for me and I don't have a very good month, like that puts a lot of pressure on you. And I probably think too, it's almost like the what would be the word for it? The male desire to provide for your family, but beyond just like a standard job. I think a lot of us probably have that same kind of sentiment where it's like, if you can provide a lifestyle for your family that, you're the only one working. I think because I grew up in that era where, it was my dad was working and my mom was at home. Like, you can't do that anymore. And I think that adds stress to a lot of us as men. and where we're thinking like, man, how can I make life easier for my family? And the wife might be saying like, well, you're never around, you're always doing something. And I, like, to me, it's the visionary process of like thinking forward. Like, if I can get this to where I could see the potential, like, things would be so much better. And I think that's part of the driving force, at least for me, but also the fact that, like, it's fun. It's stressful as hell, but it's fun. Kind of trying to see like what's going to be the next thing that I can unroll. Are people going to like it? Are people going to buy it? I've had good and bad on that. Killing a product like I felt like I was putting a dog down when I killed off my first product. Those decisions are really hard to do. And then once you do it a couple of times, it's not so hard anymore. But like the rest of you, like I'm the only man. I'm the only one doing this. I don't have any help. So I am the chief everything officer on this. And there are days where I'm dragging and it's hard to do. I have a torn labrum in my shoulder at the moment. So trying to get orders packed and everything else. I don't know if I'm going to need surgery. How am I going to handle that? So, like, you figure it out, like, I don't like, that's the thing that goes through my mind. But at the same time, like, well, I still have to teach on top of that, unfortunately, I can't just throw a basketball and say, let's play hoops today. I wish I could, but I know, Matt, it's much more complicated than that, Matt, but we all have those days where we're like, man, if I could just play a movie, or like, hey, let's play kickball for the day. Like, I need
Last week of school, that did probably happens.
Dude, do you have your own whistle that's engraved with your name on it?
Yeah, I throw my own engraver and everything.
Dude.
You would make a great, what was it from Dodgeball, White Goodman?
Dude,
Oh my God.
I still have it, like, this is my all I can remember I've had teaching in general. It's like, it was the last week of school, and I asked the kids what they wanted to do. Fifth grade wanted to play kickball. And I was like, all right, we'll play kickball, and I'll play with you. And the kids were like, the one kid was like rounding third, taunting one kid in the outfield, and I was out there, dropped in, and then he thought he was gonna make it, so instead of running, he was like just trotting and acting a fool. And because he did that, like, I threw it from the outfield all the way down there, and I ended up hitting the kid right in the head, and he drops down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired. I killed the kid. But it hit him, like, he was like 2 feet away from home plate, right in the ear. And I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Luckily, he got up, he got up laughing. And
If you had said Joni loves Chachi after that would have been perfect.
Dude, you had to have been tweaking. When that kid finally started laughing, you're like, thank God.
When the kid started laughing, I'm like, all right, I'm okay.
You're like, kid starts crying, you're like, all right, where's the lawsuits coming in? All right, better get a lawyer, pony up. Oh man, that's fun.
Well, back to kind of like the topic. I mean, you guys have mentioned like grinding quite a bit. So it's like a grind to do the day job and then the extra job and maybe even an extra job. I think not to like compare, but I kind of just, I had a side hustle for many years as well, and I think a big key, like what really helped me get through it was I was always thinking long term. So it was always more of like long term in combination with like you work hard, but you have to make sure it's sustainable. So you can't like just go so hard 1 week where you're just totally burnt out and you're just like, I'm done. So I think that's kind of the key. So I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have had similar thoughts, but if you can kind of combine that with long-term thinking, like, oh, I know I want to still be doing this in 5 years. So if I don't make as much progress this week, maybe just like a little bit of progress each week over that time. If you understand that long-term, it adds up to a lot. It can be a big benefit. I'd be curious to hear, like, how have you guys figured out a way to do this sustainably without burning out? Because all of you have been doing this for at least a few years now.
Yeah. So it's funny. I have probably had 6 to 7 times where I almost deleted my channel because I'm like, I can't keep up with the videos. Like, and the ideas. Like, for probably the first year and a half, like, I felt like if I was not filming something in my garage every day, my channel's not going to grow. And the thing is about social media and YouTube is that video sits there forever. It's not going anywhere. And I kind of told myself too, because like I got mad at myself a lot because like views are coming like, okay, let's make a better video. Sometimes the video takes a longer than others. But I was mentioning before too, you really have to like write things down and schedule things and stick to it, because that's what I did not do that first year and a half. In the last year and a half, like I literally print off a calendar and I write down everything that I want to do and I stick to it. Because if I don't stick to it, my brain is like hyperspeed. I'm going to do a million other things and then I'm going to get tired of it and I'm going to quit. So I truly think like scheduling and writing things down and sticking to your guns will keep away from that burnout, because I would respond to every comment. I would watch everyone's videos. I would do this, like, and I wouldn't really focus on my mental health, because like at the end of the day, I feel like it's almost deleting it 6, 7 times. It's like scary to think about. I'm glad I didn't. And I think that's helped me the most too at the end of the day. Sorry, I just keep saying my storage.
You're good. We're almost
I
done.
don't know. Yeah, but dude, I don't know. I think you have to do that for things like this, or you're going to get tired of it, especially if it's not your main job too. Like you're going to just be like, all right, I'm not making any money. I'm doing this 70 hours a week. What's the point? Like, do it in small increments, build it up, and go from there. A lot of these people think you're going to be a one-hit wonder and go viral. In our niche, it's not going to happen. It takes time to build up your personality, your content. So provide quality content a couple times a month instead of trying to post something every second. I don't know. That's what I told myself, and I prevented burnout that way.
I basically had and I did the exact same thing where like I had to make sure that I am writing everything down and make sure I keep myself on the schedule, because I'm the same as you. Like if I don't have a schedule for something, I'm going to bounce around to 15 different projects all the time, like trying to do them all at the same time, and like eventually they'll get done, but like I have no idea when they're gonna get done. But some needed to get done sooner than others. So I'll write down a schedule of like these are the ones I need to do today. There's one that I might be able to get to today. Here's the 2 or 3 that have to get done today. And then kind of keeping to that schedule to make sure that I keep everything on track. Just because as more and more stuff piles in, it quickly becomes overwhelming. Like let's say right now for me it's summer, so I have a lot more time. But when the school year starts, it's like everything is down to the second.
Yeah, that's the thing you said about like when you start school too. Like you can't, like right now in the summer, I could crank out a review a week, and I could do like 2 or 3 Instagram shorts a week. When the school year starts, I can't do that, man. I'm too burnt out from already teaching. I can't expect to go home, hop in the garage for 7 hours, make a video a couple times a week. So it's like I cut back a little bit during the school year. Summer is nice because you have the opportunity to kind of amp it up a little bit, but not to the point where everyone expects you to post 2, 3 times a week, because it's not sustainable when you start teaching, too much.
I don't have a question.
Oh, that
How
guy
did
down
you
there?
get connected with Jake?
Yeah,
and
we went to high school
doing
together.
this podcast. I don't think I've ever heard
So,
how that
yeah.
started.
the summer going into our freshman year playing football, became best friends. he went and played college football. I went to Purdue. Our schools are like an hour apart, so we'd still like go and party together and stuff like that. So, yeah, I started high school.
What high school?
Marion High School in like South Bend
Oh.
area.
Oh, okay.
Where?
Heard of that.
Oh, nice.
South Bend area, Mishawaka Marion.
Okay. I used to teach at a school in Lafayette.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I spent some time in Indiana. Interesting place. Love the people, but yeah.
I'm not really that far to you guys. Probably 2 hours. I'm an hour south. Probably not too far from you guys.
Where are you at, Matt?
I'm in Florida.
Oh,
Just
geez,
outside
you're
of
one of
Tampa.
those
Must be
guys.
nice. Must be nice.
Florida. It's a little hot here. Florida, born and bred.
Are you in the middle of the state, or are you next to the beach somewhere?
I'm like 45 minutes away from the beach, and that I never go to.
That's crazy.
Atlantic or Gulf?
The Gulf. I said I'm
Okay.
just outside of Tampa.
Oh, okay. That's a nice area.
You just not like the beach. You're just like sick of it already.
Honestly, almost every Floridian that like lives in Florida, that's like, if you're on the beach, you'll be there all the time. But like, if you're over 30 minutes away from the beach, you probably don't go.
You're a Florida man.
Yeah. Well, I literally had to pick up a gator on my front porch like a couple months ago and walk it back to the lake.
Dude, I saw that. That was wild, man. That was wild. You don't see that. You don't see that in Chicago. You get some possums and some raccoons, but you get a gator.
Yeah, it's Jurassic Park. Where I grew up, I grew up in a place called Lake Pensacon. It's like an hour north of Tampa, and we've had bear that have gone like black bear down there too, and like we have everything. It's all these different snakes, everything. I always like come into the garage to make sure there's no snakes in the garage.
Ah, dude, nope. Nah, that's a big no for me, dog. That's a big no for me, dog. I can't
Not
eat
messing
snakes.
with snakes, man. I bring the flamethrower before I mess with the snake.
I
you're gonna
get
bring
the
it out.
shovel out and I'd get that shovel and smack the crap out of that thing. Going, there's no shot.
It's usually a black racer, but every once in a while you get a lot of moccasin, and they'll chase you. They're nasty.
Nope, can't do that. Big bugs, they can't.
Hey, don't. I mean, did you say you were coming down here at one point during the summer? You're gonna be like an hour away from me. You gotta watch out for the mosquitoes. Yeah, you're gonna get bit by mosquitoes that are like the size of your hand. Maybe.
Got those. They got those Jumanji mosquitoes down there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't have that here. What, like the little ones are the worst ones though. They have like Napoleon syndrome. They'll come after you. Oh, so you're gonna lose a hand.
All right, well, conversation's getting out of hand. Probably should end it.
Jake, I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's been? I want to commend you first of all on the success from HomeGymCon. I thought it was great. So you put on one hell of a show. So looking forward to year 3. But I'm curious, because you're in that fellow business ownership avenue. What was the big thing that you took away from the first show to the second show that maybe you'll implement into the third show?
I think the biggest thing was try and keep that grassroots feel. It really was a community event where everybody felt like they could go up to each other and have quality conversations about the home gym life. So a lot of like people just easily related to each other. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to take from year 1 to year 2, and especially with it growing so much larger from year to year, and then probably be quite a bit larger than that in the third year. Just to keep that same vibe, I would say. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, and I was just kind of curious to see. Was there anything from year 2 that you're not bringing back for year 3?
Yeah, like like the live I think it's just important. So I think the things that worked were the competitions, and then just highlighting the vendors that were there. Like that's the show. Like really the what the vendors bring is the show. So like we had podcasts, we had like some other one-off things. I think you know, we want to have the competitions because it brings like it helps the atmosphere. It brings a certain type of people that you also want to have there. And then just figure out even like an even better way to highlight all the companies there. I think that's the biggest thing that has stood out, like and that we want to like really focus on, not necessarily like take stuff away, but put more focus on the vendors, and maybe even figure out a way to highlight individual pieces better or things like that.
Yeah, the one thing I remember is when I got there, it was drastically different from how the Arnold is. And I remember, I think you had said it in another podcast, perhaps, you weren't trying to bring in, you know, like Larry's chimney service. You know, it's like the Arnold gets these random, sometimes these random booths that have nothing to do with fitness, or there's 85% of it supplement companies. Like I was at the Arnold last year and I was next to Rain, and it was like liquid cocaine for 3 days. They gave away 64,000 cans, and it was insane. And you know, got people lining up at 8:30 in the morning outside their booth to just get wired for sound on, you know, 300 milligrams of caffeine, and then walk around sweating for the rest of the day. It was just crazy to see. So, I mean, kudos to them. But, you know, like I think First Form was the only one that you had there. Have you seen other supplement companies or companies outside of like the true like fitness manufacturers, equipment companies of the like? Have you seen more of the outsider realm in the fitness community reach out to you?
Yeah, so that was it. Like, and to your point about the Arnold, Adam and I did the Arnold a couple years ago, and we were next to Cabela's, and they were just trying to get as many people to sign up for their credit card program, and it was just like, well, they're not adding any value to this show. And I don't know. I think like part of that was learned just because like in year one, we wouldn't have gotten anybody else other than gym equipment companies. And it was really nice that it was all gym equipment companies. So going into the next year, we allowed one supplement company, because we didn't want it to be like the Arnold, where half of the companies are supplement companies, and those restrictions will be still in place. I think maybe a couple supplement companies would be nice to have like spread out, but yeah, it's going to be less than, you know, 5. I still want it to be 90% gym equipment suppliers. So yeah, part of that was just like luck that the first year only one supplement company came, and it was like, oh, that was kind of cool. Like, not only did they get a ton of attention because they were the only supplement company, so it gave them quite a bit of value, but the rest of the place looked really cool. So yeah, that is also part of the vibe. That's just a subset of the vibe I tried to like talk about when you first asked the question too. Yeah,
I think yeah, I mean, I think it was a good setup. And the way, especially I mean, that was my first year, but the way it was, the whole thing was laid out, I thought was really top tier. So kudos to you, man. You did a hell of a job. So I'm looking forward to year 3 and beyond. So I'm hoping
Same.
Can't announce it yet, but I'm hoping I've got some big surprises coming for the HomeGymCon this year. Yeah, I was very disappointed in you, Luke. I couldn't
you're
believe
like
it.
Fellow
2
teacher.
hours
You know,
away.
if you were one of my students, you probably would have had your name written on the board for no attendance. So it's probably a good thing. Yeah, it's kind of like that one student that we all have where it's like, oh well, Jimmy didn't show up today. It's like, well, not surprised, and then when they do show up, it's almost like it's a Christmas miracle. It's like, you're here. Like, where have you been? Were you lost? And the imaginary illness, or I've had a couple of people like the COVID, like that's still going around. And not sure how, but it's like, oh, I've got COVID. I'm out for 7 days. And like we call that a flu now. So it's interesting. But yeah, hopefully you can get there next year.
Great to hear. Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for doing this. Maybe we'll do it again next summer when you guys have some time.
Yeah, can't do it during the school year.
Yeah.
That's no dice. Can't do that.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks
Appreciate
again.
it, gentlemen.
It's fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake. Thanks for setting it up.